remind ourselves that it's okay, even if you're making a mistake, that's okay, because spoken language is very different from written language. As far as you're able to convey your message to somebody, you're absolutely fine. And of course, with time, you learn, you evolve. And the more you expose yourself to your environment, the more you learn as well. So yes, the language could be a bit issue, but with continuous practice, you absolutely can overcome that. But I'll tell you a very funny example here. So again, I have learned so many things, and I've picked up on so many things as well. One of the things which I have learned about English in the UK is that when somebody says, this is interesting, it doesn't mean the same interesting as back in Pakistan or perhaps in other countries or cultures. Because when I read the word interesting, in my head, I'm thinking, oh, this is really interesting. There must be something in there. But when this word is used in the UK context, interesting means it might not be good, or it might be weird, or it might be not what was expected. So initially when this word would be used, I would think, oh, this is interesting, brilliant, this is good. But later on I realized that, well, when this word is used, it's not always necessarily good. So always try and pick up those nuances as well, that okay, in which context this word is used, the tone somebody has used to say this word, and those kind of things. So try and pick up on those small little things, because it really helps us in the long run. The next one is weather. Well, if you are living in the UK, I think you can absolutely relate to this, that it rains a lot here. Now, I am somebody who used to love rain, but since I've come to this country, I've really started to question my liking for rain, because it's not just any rain, right? It's rain with a lot of wind, so it's windy, rainy, all at once. No umbrella in the world can save you from that kind of torrential rain when it's raining and when it's really windy as well. And in those situations also, when you're outside, when you're working, and when you see this kind of weather, that really impacts our moods as well, and that really makes you again homesick, and you feel down. You really feel that, oh, why I'm here, why I'm away from my family, especially during winters when the days become really shorter. You start questioning your life choices, and you start questioning what you're doing here, away from your family, away from your home. But in those moments is that when you have to remind yourself that what are you aspiring to do in your life, and what is your bigger goal, because ultimately you have to make those small sacrifices to achieve the bigger goal of yours. Needless to say, every country is a different culture. Actually, in every country as well, you'll find subcultures of this big culture as well. And the same holds true for the UK as well. When you come to this country from abroad, you would notice so many differences. All the nuances would change, and it takes time to pick up on those things. So I'll give you some examples of the cultural differences I have noticed and how I've tried to cope with it. In the UK, pub culture is really big. Football is a big part of the culture, and of course any discussion or conversation on the weather. And I picked up on some of those things. For example, I picked up on a small conversation about weather. For example, when you meet somebody, many times you end up talking about, oh, how was the weather? Oh, it's really raining. Oh, is it nice? Oh, it's sunny. It might rain tomorrow. So these kind of things, and these are kind of good conversation starters. Football, I'm still not there yet. I mean, I love my cricket. I love watching cricket. And you would imagine that since cricket started from the UK, people would have interest in it. But to my surprise, not many people really like cricket in this country. Perhaps maybe people around me don't like cricket very much, but that's okay. That has not stopped me from liking cricket, from discussing it, from watching it on my own, and I don't mind it. So cricket for me, absolutely. But football, I'm yet to pick on that in terms of having conversations with people. Another thing about culture which I've picked up, which I also said earlier, that if you're going out for a meal with your friends or with your colleagues, the people you know, most of the times you would be paying for yourself. So never expect anybody to pay for your meal, but you have to pay for yourself, because that's part of the culture here. Another thing here is that it's not very common here to share your food with people, or even perhaps people sitting next to you, or sometimes strangers. Because I remember there was a time when I was at the airport and I was sitting on my own eating the cookies. There was a lady sitting next to me who I didn't know at all, and I asked her, I said, would you like to have this cookie? And she just gave me a strange look, like who you are and why you offered me this food. That's really weird. She didn't say any of this. No, she didn't say any of this, but She just gave me that look, and I got the feeling. So I said, okay, fine, I'm not going to offer the food. But then I realized that this is very normal back home in my country. It's very normal. If you're traveling, if you're meeting anybody, if you're eating something, and if there are people around you, you always kind of offer them your food. But it's not the same here. And of course, I learned my lesson, and since then I don't offer my food around to people, but something to learn. And talking about culture, of course, when you're in this new country, they have their own festivals, they have their own celebrations, they have their own events, which perhaps you have never kind of celebrated before, or you have, but not to the same level. For example, Christmas and Easter, and so on and so forth. And in those situations as well, you would really miss home. We had Eid a couple of days ago, and I really missed my family, my home at that point. And you can see I still have some henna on my hands from Eid celebrations. In those moments, really, you really miss your family and home. And again, important to acknowledge that, and important to understand the reason behind the sacrifice you're making. And I can go on and on about sharing my experience of the cultural differences, but you get a sense of how these things are. But when we notice these kind of differences, it's again important to pick up those nuances and see how you can really navigate your way around if you are deciding to stay in the country for a while. Another thing which I've learned while living abroad is that how important it is to enjoy our own company. When we are in our home countries, most of the times we are surrounded by people, our family, our friends, our siblings, and so on and so forth. The minute we move abroad, we realize, well, there are not many people around us. And initially, you might find the sound of silence really hard to face. I know it sounds very, again, philosophical, sound of silence, but I have observed that, I've experienced that. Initially, I would think, oh my God, why is this too silent? This is too quiet. I need some noise around me. I need, some people around me. But gradually I learned how to enjoy my own company, how to enjoy being on my own, how to be in my own thoughts, and how to really learn from those thoughts and from my own patterns in life. And trust me, the minute I've learned that, I'm still learning it, but I think I have learned a lot in the past years. But now I'm absolutely fine on my own, as much as I'm fine with company. And I really look forward to also spending time on my own, where I can really think, where I can really contemplate, where I can really see and envision my life going forward. So something I've learned again from the experience of living abroad is that how to be really comfortable, be on your own, and don't really crave company of anybody, because who can give you better company than yourself? And my last point is about your identity. If you are living abroad for a while, you will start questioning about who you are and where do you belong. Because when you go back to your home country, things have changed a lot. Your friends have moved on. The place you live kind of is changing as well. The people around you have gotten busy in their lives, and of course, absolutely rightfully so. But when you come back to the country which you're trying to make your home, or where you spend most of your time now, you don't feel that you belong in that place, and you don't feel that you belong in that environment still, no matter how long you have lived there. So questions about your identity start rising, especially when somebody asks you, oh, so where are you from? Now you question that, okay, I am from this country, but I'm living in this country for these many years, but I don't feel that I belong here. The language as you speak at home, I don't speak that anymore because I don't have people around me who would speak this language with me. And so these questions would start arising for you in your mind as well. But it's important to acknowledge that our identities are changing. We are evolving as people all the time. I'm not the same person I was yesterday that I am today. And hopefully I would be an evolved version of myself. Since I have so many things to talk about, I guess I'm going to make two parts of this video. So part 1 and part 2. And if you're watching this as part 2, this part 1 as well. So definitely watch that too. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to share your comments with me, especially if you're living abroad already and if you relate to any of the things I've said, or perhaps if you're not living abroad and anything really came as a shock to you. I'll be very interested to hear that. Until next video, take really good care of yourself, and I'll see you then. Bye.